Most local websites never end up scaling because they only build 10 pages. I'm going to show you how you can build 100 high quality pages in the same amount of time and dominate in every town around you. This strategy is also called programmatic SEO. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Also, if you haven't already, download mySEO.app. The link will be down in the description. You can get access to live streams, ask questions, etc. So programmatic SEO, if you have ever looked at Airbnb, for example, or if you have ever used websites like Kayak, Expedia, all of these use a term called programmatic SEO. So as you can see here, if we take a look, Manchester Holiday Rentals, we have got Airbnb, which they've built out a dedicated page for that. Then if we take a look at Liverpool Holiday Rentals, you'll see that again, Airbnb ranks for that. And again, very similar page setup. However, a few things have obviously changed. Now, this is basically what a programmatic SEO website looks like. You would have like a database or a program that stores all of your data. So in this case, Airbnb has got hundreds of thousands of properties throughout the UK and throughout the world, and they're just displaying it in a SEO optimized way. So the database is all the way up here, and then they've got like a Manchester page, they've got a Liverpool page, they'll have a Glasgow page down here. But as you can see, like a lot of the pages, like the actual information on these pages is very, very similar to each page. However, the actual database of properties, that's the thing that's changing. Even if we were to take a look at a website like Yelp, for example, all they've done is they're a directory. So they might have hundreds of thousands of businesses listed on their website. But if you click through to any of these pages, you'll notice that they have been able to create a dedicated page for each of these areas and obviously list the associated accountancy firms here. If we take a look at some locksmith websites, so this is a locksmith down in London. They're ranking position number 2 for locksmiths London. And as you can see here, they have got dedicated programmatic SEO pages for each of these actual areas as well. So it's a very commonly used strategy that actually works. Now, I would probably say, just as a tip, if you want to see programmatic SEO working really well, look up locksmiths in your local area, and I would probably like to assume that like 90% of locksmiths follow this strategy where they'll have their homepage, they'll have a list of services, and then they will have an areas we cover. And these would be basically areas that they actually cover, areas that they would actually be willing to travel to. So as you can see, this is a locksmith company in London, and they've got a lot of suburbs of London that they are willing to actually travel to as well. Now, to replicate this strategy, you're going to need 3 things. You're going to need, first of all, a tool to actually capture the leads. I'm going to be using Go High Level. I will have a link to this down in the description. You've got 14 days free trial. This is basically going to allow you to capture the leads and also ask any questions, whether it's a multi-step form, etc. And it will also tell you where or which page the lead has come from as well, which is again really important, because if we don't know which page this lead form has, or the person inquiring has come from, we won't know which pages are actually performing that well or which pages we need to spend more time on. So that's tool number 1. Tool number 2, again, it's free. This is MPG. So this is basically going to be able to transfer our database from just being a normal database into actual dedicated web pages. So our next step is to create a database that the programmatic SEO tool can tap into. So as you can see here, this is mine. I'll show you exactly how I have been able to achieve this. So this is this very simple prompt that you can use. I would recommend changing this because this is going to vary from country to industry, from niche as well. So there's a lot of different moving parts, but this is a very rough guideline that you can use. Generate a tab, TSV, Google Sheets ready, data set for programmatic SEO, niche of, and then replace this for locksmiths, accountants, whatever industry that you're in. Using mixed locations across country / region. So this could be UK, it could be Canada, it could be Australia, wherever your country or region is. Now, this one's pretty important because if, say, for example, you are only willing to cover a 20-mile radius of Manchester, for example, this will obviously change. Now, I've actually been able to do like Manchester. I've got 10 towns in each location in UK. So Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, Birmingham, London, Bristol, Newcastle, Sheffield, Nottingham, and Leicester, right? So there's 100 pages that I will be creating in total. Obviously, that might be a little bit more or it might be less for you. Then we've says with exactly number of rows after the header. So include realistic columns such as town, country, county of region, postcode area, or if you're in America, obviously zip code. You've got the local phone number. We've got pricing data, wait times if we're available 24/7, for example, the services that we offer in each location, brands specialized in, and then payment methods, years of service, average Google rating, a lot of different columns. And that basically translates to something that looks like this. Next, what we want to do is install multiple pages or MPG on our website, and this basically looks something like this. So if we click on MPG here, we've got a variety of different ways that we can actually set up the programmatic SEO. So we can use one of their own databases, or we can use our own database. So I'm going to do from scratch here. We're going to do our locksmith, or we'll do custom locksmith P SEO. You can call this whatever, the project name, it doesn't really matter. Then we've got an entity type, and we're going to also need to select a template. So before we go into our next stage, what we want to do is we want to set up a page for this. So what we're going to do is we are going to set up just a regular page. You could also do it as a post as well. There's not really a right or wrong. I'm going to click publish here, and once that has been completed, might take maybe 1 or 2 seconds. Right, so we are currently, this is what our page basically looks like. This is a brand new website. I've not done anything to it. So then what we want to do is go back to our template, and we want to just search for our page here. So locksmith's page, and then we're going to click on save changes. Next, what we can do is we need to basically attach our programmatic SEO database to our website. Now, there's a few different ways that you can do this. You could even download this file from Google Sheets, and you can actually upload it as a database. Or what I like to do is you can actually use the URL from the worksheet. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to change this, or I'm going to set a name to this. So I'm going to call it locksmith DB. I'm going to click save. We're going to do anyone with the link is a viewer, and we're going to click on copy link. Then once you've actually copied the link, we're going to click on fetch and use. Now this is basically going to go to that sheet, and it's going to grab all of the data. So as you can see here, we can click on preview, and we've got all of our columns, and we've also got all of our rows here as well, which is 101 rows in total. We then want to set up the actual URL structure. So this can come down to however you want to actually set it up. I would almost all the time have it as, for example, something like this, for example. So you could have like Manchester and then Charlton. I mean, there's not really a right or wrong, but that's how I would probably set it up. And then we can click on save changes. Now, if we actually go to this URL right now, it will be completely empty. What we want to do is actually populate some of these fields. So what I would recommend for this is having 2 tabs open. We'll go back to our locksmith's page, and what we're going to do is we're going to be able to see all of our shortcodes if we go to here. So for example, we've got our city shortcode, our town shortcode, county, postcode, etc. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to change this. We're going to go back into our locksmith's page and we're going to call this, we're going to rename it to MPG locksmiths. Now it will look a little bit funky because right now we are looking at the hard code. We're not actually looking at the fully published version. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause the video for just a second. I'm gonna use all of these different shortcodes on the page. Literally, it's going to be a matter of just copying this and then pasting it through to our page, and we're going to populate it a little bit with content, and then we're going to show you the end result. So this is basically what I've done. So this is going to be locksmith services in MPG city and also county as well. And then we've also got a little bit of content. Now the beauty of this is once you do this page once, so once I click save once, this is going to go out to all 100 pages. So if we click on view page right now, this obviously is going to look a little bit funky, but if we actually go into our MPG plugin, click on all projects, and if we click on edit, and we're going to be back into our programmatic SEO pages. So if we click on any of these pages, as you can see here, we've got locksmith services in Manchester, Greater Manchester. So then we've got our Chorlton page, for example. So if we actually click on see all URLs here, as you can see, we've got a lot of different pages. So we've got our local locksmiths in Didsbury, Greater Manchester page. We've got our local locksmiths in Sale page, and obviously this is all unique content to do with actual sale. Now, there's one last step that we would also want to do. Now, it's brilliant having all of these pages, but when somebody actually comes onto this web page, they also need to be able to submit a contact form. So I'm going to be able to now go into Go High Level and create a form for that. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to go on to sites here. I'm going to click on forms and I'm going to click on add a form. We can use a template or we can start from scratch. There's not really a right or wrong here. I'm going to just start from scratch. What we're then going to do is we're going to then make any adjustments. So if there's any zip codes or if there's any telephone numbers that we also need. So in locksmiths, for example, you would probably want a telephone number. Which we actually do have that. What we can also do as well is we can also collect payment on the actual form as well. So if we wanted to be able to create like a form that actually takes payment and then it goes through to our lead, we could also do that. I'm just going to keep it very simple in this case. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on save here. And then we're going to click on integrate. We're going to click on embed code, and we're just going to copy the embed code. We're then going to go back to our initial page that we set up right at the start. So our local locksmiths page. And what we're going to then do is we're just going to, right at the bottom, we can just do a HTML block, and we're going to paste in our iframe for our lead form. Now that basically allows us to have a contact form on every single page. Now, as you can see here, we've got our first name, last name, telephone number, etc. You can obviously change the colors and stuff like that. So one thing that you can obviously do is if we were to just change the styling options, so we can have like a colored background. So we can set this to like maybe like a dark blue or maybe even a light blue. Just save that, and again that's just going to update on all 100 of our web pages, so we don't actually need to go into each of these web pages individually and update the form. It's all done on the fly, and it's a very slick process. So that has been my video on programmatic SEO. All of the tools, like for example MPG and also Go High Level, I will have in the description, so if you guys do want to check it out, both of which are free as well. You can sign up to them, you can have a play around and figure out if it's a suitable strategy for your business. Also, if you haven't already, download mySEO.app. We've got live streams in there all the time. We've got a community section, so if you're ever struggling with SEO, feel free to head over onto that. Or if you want to work with me, head over to kasra.com, fill in the contact form, and I will be in touch. Thanks for watching.